fully vaccinated visitors from the EU and US will no longer need to isolate when coming to England, Scotland and Wales from an amber list country.
But is this enough to save the UK travel industry, or is it just too little too late? Well, travel expert Simon Calder joins us now. Good to speak to you this morning, Simon. I mean, it's something, isn't it? But the confusion still remains, and that, I guess, that jeopardy is what is putting the travel industry at risk and also everyone's hopes for some summer holidays.
It certainly is, yes. What's happened this morning is that, well, the very first flight from New York, British Airways flight 112, touched down just after 6 a.m. At London Heathrow. And that was full of Americans who come over here with their vaccine certificates who will now, for the first time, be able to avoid quarantine. And that's also going to apply for all the arrivals from European Union nations, of course, apart from France, which is still on its own little Amber Plus list. And that really signifies the uncertainty. That category, which requires mandatory quarantine for everybody, including people who've been vaccinated by the NHS when they're coming into the UK from France, was suddenly introduced at 3 days' notice, affects hundreds of thousands of people. And there is now talk, can you believe, of yet another traffic light category, amber watch list, which would basically be saying, oh, you don't want to book a holiday there because it might be going on the red list. And that means hotel quarantine. And for that, you're talking thousands of pounds and extremely onerous endurance for 11 nights in a hotel in Isolation Row at Heathrow. So nobody wants to do that. And the talk in the travel industry is that that is really just something to stop people booking so many holidays to Spain. The numbers in Spain, particularly on the Balearics, are looking worrying. We've got the next traffic light update on Thursday, we think, from the Transport Secretary, Grant Shapps. And there are worries about, well, certainly parts of Spain, also a couple of Greek islands, Mykonos and Santorini, very high levels there. And it could be that we see more onerous categories developed for those. But the travel industry, meanwhile, is saying, look, we've got a few crumbs from this. It's not going to rescue the summer, but it's going to help us. And it's also going to help people separated by thousands of miles from their family, from loved ones. That's going to improve things. But we really can't have any more uncertainty if we're going to salvage something from August.
So, Simon, if we've got people watching this morning, and they will be up and down the country, thinking, I really want to go away, I really want to plan a holiday, how on earth do I start trying to work out where I can go, where's safe to go, what's the best option? What is your advice?
Well, what I'm doing is basically just waiting for Thursday to find out what happens with those traffic light changes. And then once we know, for instance, if there's new countries going on the list, I'm very hopeful, for instance, that Poland will appear on the green list, which means no quarantine, no worries, and also no immediate threat that it could get really serious. Also a fantastic destination for August holidays on the Baltic Riviera. And then once we know, then you can book knowing or hoping that nothing is going to change very quickly. So therefore, opportunism is the way forward for me. That's no help at all to the fantastic travel professionals who would like my money right now. Just hang on for a few more days and I promise you will get it. But of course, there's millions of people with holidays booked in Spain, in Greece, in Italy, in Croatia, who are worried about what could happen. And that is a really serious concern. Just the lack of consumer certainty and the stress this is causing, apprehension instead of the glorious anticipation of a holiday.
Particularly as trying to get holidays in the UK is almost impossible and incredibly expensive. And a few weeks ago, places you're talking about, Greece and Spain, were very affordable and seemed possible. So it feels like even people who are not being responsible are getting caught out of this. What do you think of the idea of making it a rule that if you're on the holiday, you shouldn't, you know, and it goes red, you shouldn't suddenly have to get back home in that way, because that does ruin the holiday? And I ask that because, bearing in mind, that happens because there's a danger, doesn't it? So we have to remember we want a happy, stress-free holiday, but also people to be safe. Where do you stand on that?
Well, the whole idea of the original Global Travel Task Force review was that we were going to have a green list, which loads of people, including me, thought would have all the favourite countries on it, and then you'd have a green watch list saying this might go amber and that could be a problem. But what we've instead got is a huge amount of uncertainty, new categories being opened up. But I think it is not unreasonable to say to everybody, we will give you at least a week's warning of any changes that are going to have an effect. But of course, the government says, no, this is all about public health. We will do whatever we need to, which is why we will suddenly bring in measures at a few days, sometimes even a few hours notice if we think we have to do that. Meanwhile, if you are looking for a holiday in the UK, and frankly, who could blame you, there's fantastic deals out there, but I'll tell you where they are. They're in city centres, in places like London, in Birmingham, in Leeds, in Manchester, in Edinburgh. Great hotels selling at really good prices. You've got all the benefits of being in a city, and you can just hop on the train and go out to the coast or the countryside for the day. That's what I'm doing.
Nice idea there, Simon. Good advice. Good to speak to you as ever. We will keep an eye on what changes come Thursday, of course, and undoubtedly we'll speak to you around then.